So, welcome to the class today, and people's I got feedback from people that they did not understand how to integrate payment solutions, and they didn't understand socket.socket.io. So I'm going to start with payment solution, and I remember we tried using Paystack, and for one reason or the other, it wasn't really giving us what we wanted. And we are going to try Flutterwave in this class. I know um, we tried it in one of our classes and then we couldn't generate the access token, but we are going to see how we can do so today. Okay, so let's see. Now, when you log into your dashboard, right? I'm already logged in on Flutterwave. So when you're logged into your dashboard on Flutterwave and you go to your API key, that's on the sidebar, you go to API keys and you click on test API keys. What you would see first is V3 API keys or something like that, V3. You just see API keys, your client's ID, your client's test ID, your client test secret, and one other field. Then at the bottom, you'd see a button, and generate V4 key or something like that, or generate V4 credentials. So when you click generate V4 credentials, it will then take you to this place, right? So this, let me see if it will take me there. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Once you reach it, so these keys are actually V3 keys, and they are different from how V4 keys are being used. So if you click switch to V4 keys, it will take you here. It will take, I think it will take you to a form to fill. Yeah, it will take you to a form to fill to create your sandbox account. Okay, so I already created my sandbox account, so I'm just going to log in again. Right. So it gives me this client's ID and this client's secrets. And let's come back to, is it the authentication part? I think this is it. The authentication reference. So the authentication reference says first you're going to send your client's secrets and a grant type of client credential to this route. Then you'll get a response with your token and all these other fields, right? Your access token and all these other fields. Then you can now use the token you're being given to make requests to wherever you want to make your request to, right? So it's saying sample request call to the payment gateway API. So this or C URL to this cloud, then your environment, and then the endpoints, right? So we would see how we can use this. Then for you to refresh your access token, that's when it has expired. You will then need to send this request with your client ID, client secrets again, like this. I think the same way we did it before. You would send that request access.post URL search params. Okay. You send it to this endpoint, and then you get a new one, and then you can now save and assign that new one. So let's already get started. So with all this, right, already just give me a minute. Let me reshare my screen. I'll be share my screen to show you guys what I did or how it works. So remember that I generated new API keys, right? And then from the sandbox I created. So that's what I'm using here. I'm using the client ID as the new API, the new client ID I generated from registering on the sandbox. The client secret is this. The grant type is credential. So if I send that request, right? If I send that request, right now I get a response. I get an access token with this expires in so it expires in 600 seconds. So 60 seconds make 1 minute. Sorry. So if 60 seconds make 1 minute, 600 seconds should be 10 minutes, right? So I think that's 10 minutes, should expire in 10 minutes. So with this access token here, right? I can now make other requests. So maybe I will just call this first one generate access token, while this other one I'll call make a request. Make a request. Then here the authorization bearer token would just be the value of the token that I just copied from that request. So let's go back to the browser and let's see what else we need to do. So we've gotten this, we know how we can get our access token now, right? The next thing we would want to do is or where is it? We want to charge or create a payment, right? So they said to create a payment, you have 6 steps you need to go through. First, you need to create a customer, then you create a payment method. So creating a customer, you just need you just need email, right? Whatever else you want to add with the email. They said email is required, right? But we recommend you collecting as much information as possible. So that's the first step. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to create a payment method. So a payment method would be, are you paying by card? Or is the customer paying by card? Is the customer paying by mobile money, OPay or Google Pay? Then after that, you initiate a charge. So this trace ID and idempotency key, another thing I'll need to figure out. But then you have to do that. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to authorize the charge, and then these verified payments would have to do with the webhook, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah, use your webhook to listen to payment. Yeah, it has to be the webhook. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a customer. So the first thing, you need to have an API key, right? Then you need to have a webhook. Then feature approval. Some payment methods require additional approval. See payment methods for details. Let's see. So let's make our first request. So I'll copy this URL. I'll go to Postman, replace it. Of course, we already have the bearer token, which is where is it? We've already assigned the bearer token tracer ID. So your unique tracer ID, I think this would be generated by you. So you can use V4, I guess. You can use V4 to generate that tracer ID. So I'll just use something random for the tracer ID. Just use anything random for the tracer ID. Then they said email is required. So let's go back to Postman though, so that you guys will see what I'm doing. Okay, so we are back here. I just put a random value for the tracer ID, right? A random value for the tracer ID. Then the next thing I want to do is on the request body, I want to put an email. So email, I'll say that email. Then I could just say that details. They said anything you want to add, you can add. So that detail, maybe I'll say full name, email, email is already here. So maybe address. So I'd say here, there, everywhere. What else? I think that's all. Then I'll create that customer. Okay, so what are they saying? Request not valid, malformed request. Okay. Why is the request malformed? This is JSON. Okay. Is it expecting a closing comma? Okay, sorry. So I didn't put that closing curly brace. So first I've created a customer, right? This is the first thing I've done. I've created a customer successfully. So I think I'll just duplicate this. So this first one is create a customer. Step 1, create a customer. So I've done that. I've created a customer. Then step 2. What did they say in our step 2? Create a payment method. So step 2 is create a payment method. So the payment method I want to use is card, the card payment method. So this is how I'll do it from their documentation. This is the URL they said to create payment method. The header will still contain the authorization bearer token. Then it will also contain the tracer ID. Remember that tracer ID that I said was random? So I'll put it there. And I'll just come here to copy the tracer ID again. I think I need to save this so that I won't run into issues maybe later on. So they said the tracer ID, then this idempotency key is your unique idempotency key, right? So this is also going to be generated by you, the back end actually, not the users. You don't want the users to write those keys on their own. So the back end should be able to generate these keys on the fly per step that is being taken. So I'll just use a random idempotency key. Then what else did they ask for from us? So they said that the body is going to accept a type, right? In fact, so if you look at their documentation, if you're looking at their documentation with me, you'd see what I'm doing. So they said type is card. Then the next thing is I'll just copy all this stuff and paste here. So let me lower this, and you might be wondering where I got this from. So let me reshare my screen. Let me reshare. So now the reason I'm doing this manually here is for you guys to get the flow before I now integrate or do the integration on the back end. Okay. So if we come back here, you would see that they gave us a nonce, right? So let me talk a little bit about this nonce. So I think this nonce in this case means number ones, and it's used to stop a replay attack. So is it a replay attack? I can't remember. But this is the way that attack works. You send, I think you send one transaction twice, and or you send two transactions at the same time, and the first one gets maybe the second one gets should I say executed before the first one, right? Something like that. But with nonce, it could know that, it could understand that, okay, this is the, I don't know if that's the case here, but I'm talking with the idea I got from writing smart contracts or transactions in Web3. So if you have like a nonce with the ID of 5 and another nonce with the ID of 6, but the nonce with the ID of 6 reaches the path for execution, right? And then the list of nonce is being checked, and there is number 4, but there's no number 5. That's for the list of executed transaction. There's number 4, but there's no number 5, but then there's number 6 here. That number 6 transaction has to wait until 5 is being executed or is being totally executed, and so on and so forth. Well, that's by the way. So all this credential, now when you're doing tests, when you're testing your the endpoint, right? When you're running your test, these credentials are exactly what you're going to use. You won't go and take a real card to do your test transaction. It might not work. That's why they give you this sample one for you to use to test. So let's come back to Postman. So we have everything we need. Let's send our requests. Let's see. So what is it saying? Field unauthorized, code unauthorized. Okay, so I think our access token has expired. So and let me try to generate another one. Okay, so I generate another one, and I copy it, come back here, paste it, and try to send the request. So it's saying unable to decrypt encrypted fields provided. Client encryption error. Okay, so let me check. Did I copy the proper token? Let me from Q to E. Copy it, come back here. I don't know. So it's saying failed, unable to decrypt encrypted fields provided. So let's check again. Payment methods. So tracer ID, your tracer ID. Let me check if I still have the tracer ID there. Tracer ID is this key there. Then the data card is type is card. This is the card details. Let's see, create payment method endpoints. Okay. So let's come back to the documentation. So let me stop sharing Postman and then let's come back to the documentation itself. Okay. And let's check card payments, requirements for card payments. So we've created a customer already. Then the next thing we want to do is the card payment. So next, create the payment. So send the customer's card details in a payment request to generate a card object. Okay, so let me see what this where this encrypt will take us to. So encryption. So when making card charge requests, you must encrypt card information before sending the request. If you're using official SDK, you don't need to handle the encryption. Pass your encryption key to the library and it will automatically encrypt your request payload. So when integrating this, you need to handle encryption, okay? Or retrieve your encryption key from the API settings section in your Flutterwave dashboard, okay? Then use this to encrypt your request. This is extended via the following library. So you can use any of this, to encrypt. So if you send unencrypted, we'll send you a 422, okay? Right. So what they are trying to tell us, if you're using one of the official backend SDK, they need to handle this encryption manually. Pass the encryption key, the library, and it will automatically encrypt your request, okay? So API settings, you retrieve your encryption key. Let's see how we can actually retrieve. So this is our encryption key. So let's you encrypt your sensitive data before sending it. So let's copy our encryption key. Then what else did they say we should do? After copying our encryption key, then use advanced encryption standard to encrypt your request. This is extended via the following libraries. So you can use AES-256 with any of this library, right? CryptoJS or NodeForge, or this one. So let's see. They gave us an example using okay, AES. So AES encrypt this global this dot. Okay. Oh, so we have the data, right, as a string. We have the token and we have the nonce. And the nonce must be exactly 12 characters long. Okay, so let's see how we can actually do this. Let's come back to uh VS Code. And I'll share my screen very soon. Just give me a little bit of time. Okay, so um right, I just needed to paste something first. So let's come back to our VS Code. Okay, so I just needed to paste this encryption key here first. It's a test encryption key, so no need. Then I'll just copy the code that this that I saw here. I'll just copy it. Because I'll be needing that code. So these are this this is TypeScript they used to write the whole thing. So I'll just say just wrap that there so that it would call itself. Then instead of returning this, I rather want to print it. So I'll say console.log console.log that and things. I rather want to paste them here. Okay, then the data would be what I want to encrypt, right? The token would be the encryption key. The nonce would be 12 characters, so I need to form my own nonce. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That will be my nonce. So the first thing I want to encrypt would be a card number, right? I don't know which card number I should use. Oh, hmm. Uh, so wait. So the reason why this card, uh, this the card I used, right, wasn't decryptable was that the encryption key. Okay, I think I understand. So I'll just form, I don't know, this 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 12, 4, 4, 16. So 1, 2, 3. I'll just form 16 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Although I know that there is a rule to know if this is a valid number or invalid number, but I'm thinking since I'm using tests, that might not be checked. So I'll just say node __ tests, simple test.js. I don't know if that is going to run. Did I see it? Okay, cool. So I've gotten a card number. I'll just copy it, paste it as my card number. Remember that I created nonce here, which has to be 12 characters. So as I'm doing it, I'm putting it on the postman. So the next thing I want to encrypt is the expiry date. So that will be um on the 9th, or is it 09/28, 2028. Then save that. Yep. So that's the okay. So I have to encrypt expiry month and expiry year differently. So expiry months, sorry. So I have to do that differently. So that's the expiry month. Then the expiry year, 28. Sorry, 2028. If you're trying to copy this to try, it's not a real card though. So this is 2028. Then the CVV would be 224. Yep. So let's come back here. Let's come back to Postman. Let's see if we send that request, if it will actually work. Okay, so I have to generate access token again. Okay, invalid card number. Wow, wow, wow. I don't have an expired card. I don't have an expired card. So anyways, what I'll do is I'll have to generate everything without you guys seeing it because I want to use like a real card. So you might not see what I'm doing. You might not see, but you guys get the concept of how I'm generating the card. So I'll use a real card to generate everything, and then from there we'll continue. So just give me a second. So I want to generate the card number first. I've generated a card number, so I'll come back here. Wait, let me change these nonce actually. You guys, no need. I'm not changing the nonce. You guys will still see the nonce at the end of the day. Um, expiry month, expiry year. So expiry year, and then the CVV. So the CVV. Yeah, so that's everything. That's everything from a real card. Okay, from a real card. So we've been able to, why is it showing? Okay, can you imagine? Okay, thank God it's not showing any of my card numbers because that was what I was afraid of. So, it's showing my first 6 and last 4 digits. Why now? Why? Why? Anyways, it's fine. It's fine. At least some digits are still missing. So we've been able to create a payment method, which is the card method. Then we'll now move further, right? We'll move to step 3. What does step 3 say? Step 3. Mm, okay, so step 3 is you will initiate a charge. So initiating a charge, you need a customer ID, payment method ID. Okay. So remember that here we have an ID. So this ID will be the payment method ID, if I'm not mistaken, right? Then the customer ID would be the ID that was created when you created the customer. So this customer ID. So they said the fourth one is to initiate a charge. So to initiate a charge, the endpoint would be charges. Isaac, he said, let me share screen so that you guys will see the card number. You saw how I generated the card details now. So first I did it with a card number that was not in existence, right? So you've gotten the step, right? So so this step 2, I need to rename it properly. So this is payment method. Then this step 3 is to initiate a charge. So step 3 should be initiate charge. And to initiate a charge, so you use this endpoint for charge, right? And then the same access token, the contents type of JSON. Remember to put your trace ID and idempotency key, right? So you would come here, would copy the trace ID, the same trace ID, uh, the same trace ID here, then the same key. I'll just call that key. I don't know why it does. Why does this key have to have this name? Idempotency key. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it well. Then, so you have all that. Then for the request body, they are asking that you have a reference. They're asking that you have a reference, you have a currency, you have a customer ID, you have a payment method ID, you have a redirect URL, you have an amount, and then you have some other data. So reference, you said a reference, and a reference is a reference to that transaction, right? A reference to that particular transaction you're trying to create. So now what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a transaction, right? Which is like initializing a charge. So you can, what some people do at this point is, if there was an order, for example, if an order was created, right? And then you know that when an order is being created on the back end, of course, an order ID will be created. most people tend to use the order ID as the reference when they are creating a charge, so that at the end of the day, you might not need to save anything extra on the database to refer to the transaction ID. You can just say the transaction ID is the order ID for that particular order. Do you guys get? But if you don't want to do it that way, then you can have a different maybe ID for the reference. So the ID could be something like this. I don't know. I'm just using random letters. Then I don't think the currency. So let's see. Need to specify the okay. The currency is needed. The currency is needed actually. So currency would be NGN. Then what else did they ask us for? The customer ID. In fact, let me just copy all these things and paste it so that you guys would see. Right. So the customer ID is going to be gotten when you create a customer. This is the customer ID. So I'll copy it, come here, paste. Then the payment method ID is created when you create a payment method. See it here. This is the payment method ID. Then the next one would be the redirect. So the redirect is where do you want to take this user to after the payment has been made successfully. Now, this redirect URL is mostly used to redirect the user to a page on the front end. And let me tell you why. When before a user makes payment, right, his cart is usually filled with products, right, or let's say his cart is filled with order and maybe an order, right, and he's paying for that order. And at the end of the day, when the payment is successful, you want to take the user to a page that as soon as he lands on that page, it clears that order from the cart, or it clears the cart completely. In fact, it clears the cart completely, right? And then after clearing the cart completely, it tells the user that you have successfully made this payment, and then maybe after like 3 seconds, it redirects the user back to the home page or something. Or maybe there could be a button there to go home. You get, if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Because if you've made payments before, after making payments, right? Apart from the fact that the payment gateway you use to make that payment tells you that your payment is successful, there's a page it takes you to that still tells you again that, oh, your payment was successful. Or sometimes it just shows something like loading before it then takes you back to the home page. That page is a special page, and that page doesn't what that page does is it's maybe clears your cart before taking you back to the original home page, or maybe back to your cart for you to, or maybe back to somewhere. You get? So that redirect URL is what you will put here. And this redirect URL is usually called when the payment is successful. Okay, I hope I've made myself clear. Then you have the transaction amount. You have the transaction amount. I think I'll just say 3000.00. Then, if you want to get any metadata of the user, you can say meta, which is not compulsory. Maybe you just want to add metadata, the person's name, and person's name King James. Okay, I don't know. Anything you want to put here. I don't know. It's not actually necessary. It's not necessary at that point. I know my access token has expired, so let me just send it. Yeah, so the redirect URL. Okay, first, is there bank transfer type of payment method. Yes, Isaac, there is a bank. In fact, let me list the payment methods that are there actually. The payment methods are payments by card, mobile money, OPay, Google Pay. There's pay with bank transfer, there's pay with USSD, there's pay with Apple Pay. So there are a lot of payment methods. I just chose card payments to show you guys how it works. So okay, then Matilda, you said that URL comes from the front end. Yes, it comes from the front end. Now, don't mistaken callback URL with webhook URL. Callback URL takes you to a page on the front end that maybe clears your cart before taking you to another page. Okay, and that page can maybe tell you that your payment was successful. It's different from webhook. Webhook is used to notify your back end that that payment was successful. So when it notifies your back end can then go to that order and then mark that order as paid. You get, because most times what happens is your back end first saves the order and then tries to go through the process of creating a reference. Okay, it goes through that process before trying to create a reference. So once the payment is made successful, you want to update that order that was maybe marked as pending to paid. Okay. Okay, so Kingsley asking if the front end is using Flutterwave's SDK, then yes, the SDK allows you to pass the redirect URL. Yeah, exactly, yes. So for people that do deep linking, I think that's what is Kingsley, that's what it's called, right? Deep linking. You can pass the deep linking, the deep link URL to as the redirect URL, like the deep link to the page that is supposed to show the user the successful response, right? You can do that. Yeah, so the deep link takes the user to the exact page or the exact page on the app, on the mobile app. So when we are talking about deep linking, we are referring to mobile apps. You get, like, for example, have you noticed that if someone sends you the link to a video on Facebook and you click that link and it takes you to Facebook, it takes you to that page that is supposed to show the video, right? That's deep link. Yeah, it's taking you directly to that page on the app. Doesn't take you to the home page or just opens the app for you. It takes you to that direct page. Okay, so Isaac, you're asking, so when a customer pays with bank transfer, how does the back end know that the particular order has been paid for? Now, once that payment is completed, a webhook request or a request to be sent to the webhook URL you told Flutterwave to use. And I'll show you. I'll show you. Um, I'll do that actually. I'll do that actually. Let me just send this again. Let me just send this. Let me just send this again. So I think this I'll need to explain this whole thing with a diagram. I think that will make it easier for you guys to understand it. Okay, so I've created a charge of 3,000, right? I've created a charge of 3,000. Now, the next step after creating the charge is to make the payment. Okay. Right? Okay, I have to authorize the charge, which is actually making the payment. Now, before we go further, let's come back here. Remember that we have this place, right, where we have our test API keys, which we are using to generate an API, what's it being called? That's the access token. If you come here to click on the test webhooks, you have a place where you can put in your, okay, let me log in again. You have a place where you can put in your test webhook. Okay, you have a place where you can put in your test webhook, and then that place you put in this test webhook is where the Flutter would be able to send a request to you. See, don't let this webhook thing confuse you. Webhook is just simply a URL. I'm sorry, an endpoint. It's just simply the normal endpoint. But the difference between this webhook URL and your normal endpoint is that that endpoint is not being used by the front end that is consuming your service. It's being used by another service that you want to get information to and from. Do you get? But it's still a normal a URL, and it's usually a post URL, right? So now you put that URL to expect Flutterwave, for example, to tell you, look, we've processed your payment to then this is the details of these payments that we've processed. So if you want to use it to do anything on your back end, oh yeah, you can use it to start working. Do you get? So that's the main usefulness or the main use of your webhook. And I should create a webhook. So let's come back to, you can keep the questions coming if you're confused. You can keep the questions coming. Uh, let's come back here. I'll make a webhook. I'll make a webhook URL so that we can use that to test. I'll just simply do it here. So I'll say app.post, and I'll say Flutterwave webhook. REQRES. I'll just say um I'll say request body, which is REQ dot body. Then the next thing I want to do is res dot send, and I'll say done. I'll just say done that way. Now, whatever you want to use this request body to do down here is up to you. Whatever I want to use it for. So I would save that. I'll just say git add, git commit, fix, and I'll say Flutter webhook included. Origin. I hope you guys are not confused. I just hope you guys are not confused at this point. Then the next thing we would want to do is, let me come here to check. So let me go to render.com so that I can get the base URL actually. So I'll go to render.com. So then, don't worry. So sorry. Uh, let's come back to our browser. sorry. Yeah, so the webhook will be this URL uh / Flutterwave webhook, right? And this hash, security hash is a security feature to verify webhook events. This must be the size must be between 36 and 72. So this secret hash would be used to decrypt uh your, or is it to decrypt or to verify? Okay, I think this is actually used to verify. So let's see if I try to save. Okay, say all fields are required. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So 40, and I click on save. Please save. All right, so webhook endpoint created, and then I have that encryption hash, right? I can copy this encryption hash and keep somewhere in case. I'll copy it and I'll just keep it here. I'll just say encryption hash here. Encryption hash, I have copied it and pasted on my VS Code. So let's come back here. Let's come back to, so we've initiated the charge. The next thing is we need to authorize it, which is paying for the charge. Let me generate my access token again, please. So I'm thinking why paste tag did not work is because maybe the client ID and client secrets are actually very old. Maybe I need to try and generate a new one and then try to use that new one I generated. Which I will try maybe later on. So I've pasted the new token that is given to me, and then the next step I'm supposed to take is to authorize the charge. And then to authorize the charge, what do I need? The API return in next. Okay, after initiating a charge, the API returns a data.next action. Okay, so let's come back to this place when it initiated a charge. There is a data.next action. That's what they said. So let's check very well. Okay, so processor respond approved. Okay. For this card, payment method settled, customer this fees. Wow. So okay. Wow. So let's check very well here. I don't know if I should wear my eyeglass. I don't have an eyeglass too. Don't mind me. But from the documentation, they said there's a data.next action. So I'm checking, there's data here, there's ID amount, there's fees. There's fees, there's redirect URL reference processor type. There's no .next charge. Okay, so I don't know. For these types of authorization, update the transaction with your, okay. So redirect contents instruction, okay. Okay. Um, okay. So this class of next action is used mostly in USSD and pay with bank transfer payment. So if you're paying with card, so hmm, um, I have to look at this carefully. Okay, so there's no data dot next is it next, what did they say? Um there's no data dot next action, but I'm thinking because I'm using a card to pay, so they have to be a pin. I need to put a pin because there's no how I can just use my card to pay and then I'm not putting in a pin. That would be wrong, right? So they said there are 5 kinds of next action results. First, this requires PIN. The next one is requires OTP. The third one is requires URL. The fourth one is requires additional fields. The fifth one is payment instructions. So I'm going to use requires PIN because when you're paying with card, you actually require a PIN. So if you're doing requires PIN, um, what you would send um what you send here. Okay, so let me just duplicate this. Let me just duplicate it. So the fourth one is the fourth step is to um authorize the charge. Okay, or authorize the charge because you created a charge. So authorize the charge. So to authorize a charge, um I think you would use the same URL because they've not provided a new URL. They just did not give a new URL. So I would still use the same URL, right? Then I'll just copy everything here that I'm seeing. The way I'm seeing it, just copy it and paste here. So what they require here is they require a type of PIN for the authorization, a type of PIN. Then your PIN will contain the nonce. So let's come back here. I think uh I think it's here we put the nonce. I can't remember. So okay, it's not here. When we're creating a payment method, I think this is where we use something like nonce. So I'll copy the nonce, come here, paste it. Then the encrypted pin will be my encrypted pin. So I'll have to go back to Postman, try to VS Code and then encrypt my pin and then use it. So I would say here. So I've just encrypted my pin. So let me come back to Postman. If you might be asking, how did I encrypt my pin? The same way I used to create those encryptions for the card. is the same way I just encrypted my PIN. I use the same method. So once I send that, okay, so I need to generate a new access token. Hey, so I've created a charge. Yay, I've created a charge. So, um, okay, but this looks identical with when I initiated a charge. This looks identical. Approved code of 00, approved status succeed. The same thing, exactly the same thing. Okay, so I think the next payments object would have come if I was doing a real payment actually. Um, so let's come back here. Okay, sorry, let me reshare my screen. Let's come back to our browser. Let's come to the logs. Let's see if they actually sent us anything. Okay, so Mongoose crashed. Mongoose crashed. I mean, MongoDB, connecting to MongoDB didn't work. Um, I remember I shared something on the channel. Hmm. Yeah, so this didn't connect. This didn't connect. Server started on port 3000. This is bad authentication. So I'm wondering where is the hmm. So I believe they sent. Okay, so let's do like this. Let's use the one that I talked about in the group or the channel. Just give me a second. Uh, we are going to use that rather than trying to use render. So just give me a little bit of time. What's the name? Just give me a little bit of time. I want to test this using my local. So I remember that I shared a package, right? So that would be tunnel move. So I'll just spin this up. Remember that our backend is running on port 3000. So I'll say npm install dash g tunnel mo. Oh, so it won't install because I did not write sudo. So remember what tunnel mo does, right? Tunnel mo creates a tunnel between your local host and the web. Sorry. And then it helps traffic that comes to a particular URL to be redirected to your local host. So it's in essence like bringing your local host online, and people can maybe make requests, and then it will be fetched from, or it will be redirected to your local host. So which means if you crash your local host and while people are using it, then they won't be able to use it again. So let's just wait for that to finish installing. This is taking a whole lot of time. This is taking a whole lot of time. But it would soon finish installing. To still soon finish installing. Just give it a little bit of time. All right, so I'll say Timo 3000. This now. What is going on now? Okay. Nice. 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 How nice. Very nice. Okay, so okay, there's a timo.com, whatever, you can share their news. Okay. So any request you make to this URL would be redirected to localhost. Oh, sorry. I didn't reshare my screen. Sorry, my bad. Okay, sorry. So what I did was I just let me spin up another server. What I just did was I wrote sudo npm install dash gt mo abi tunnel mo. And remember that I shared this with you guys on the channel, right? Tunnel mode is used to. So after doing that, the next command I ran was tmo 3000. Remember that our backend is running on the port of 3000. So I then said tmo 3000, right? And then after running that, it's brought us here, right? It brought us here. See, it's tmo 3000. So so if I make a request here, so let me just try it. Let me copy this, go to my browser and just make, so let me just come back here. There's no request here, right? Let me just paste this on my browser. That's URL I just copied. Let's see if this thing actually works. Okay, it's saying on the browser that I cannot get that particular link. So let me try get to another link. /to do /. Okay, so I'll just say /to do, then /. It's saying no token supplied. So I think I'll make this open. I'll just make that open. Then I'll try it again. Okay, cool. So get decoded value undefined. Don't worry. So on my browser, I'm getting what I expect, right? I'm getting everything I expect actually. Let me share you what I'm seeing on my browser. So let me make this pretty. So I just went to this link /to do /, and then I'm getting all the to-dos that I created, which are on my local. I'm getting it here. So the essence of me even doing this is I want to actually use it on the webhook. So I'll come back here. I can't remember where this. Okay, so rather than using this guy, I would rather use this link and save it. Let me see if it would save. Okay, what's this saying? I'm unauthorized, so I have to log in again. Then down here, I just need to change this to that link. And the painful part is we might need to start that whole process again. But it's not going to be too painful. I promise. So we are not actually going to start by creating a customer because we have already created a customer. We are only going to create a payment method, which involves, and so I don't think you can use one nonce twice. I'm not sure you can use one nonce twice. And then we'll change our tracer ID and idempotency key. So I'll change this. Then for the body, so one thing is when you're creating a customer, right? As you're creating a customer, this is another thing you need to know. As you're creating a customer, you need to save the customer's ID. This ID, you need to save it on the customer's table on the back end, because you don't want to come back to be creating the same customer multiple times, like create one customer 5 times. It's useless. Rather, so this creating of a customer or creating of customer can happen when you're doing the user's registration, when the user is registering. As the user is supplying his username and email, password, as you're registering him on your back end, you also send a request to create a customer on Flutterwave. Then when this details comes back, right, you pick this customer ID and you save it alongside the other details you saved on your back end. Okay, you save that so that if you're coming here, if the that customer wants to make a payment, you don't need to come and create him again. You just use this customer ID which you saved on your back end to do this other part. So I might need to change these nonce, right? And then I'll need to do this whole process again. So just a little bit of time. Sorry, I'm doing this again. Just a little bit of time. It won't take too much time. So I need to create the card again. That exact card again. So just give me a little bit of time. I'll use the new nonce and then I'll use the same card detail, exactly the same card detail. So I'll say okay, so this wait though, sorry, wait. This is looking suspicious. Okay, no. So this nonce is actually not correct because it has to be 12 exactly 12 characters long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It has to be exactly 12 characters long. If not, it will not work. So I've created my card number. If you guys should see my card number there, you can copy it and use it for whatever purpose you want to use it for, of course. Uh, uh, the month is going to expire. Uh, the expiry year. Then the encrypted CVV. The CVV is the number at the back of your card. Okay. Okay, so I have to create that. I need to log in again. So this getting access token every time, you can actually automate it if you're using Axios. There's a way to automate it actually. So I'll just paste that there, send the same request. So I've initialized the payments. The next thing I just need to copy is this payment ID and the nonce, I guess. So payment ID, I'll change this reference to something different. So the customer ID is still different. The currency is still the same. Sorry, the customer ID is still the same. Currency is still the same. Just the reference and the payment method is different. Maybe I want to pay 5,000. Oh, okay. I know why. Uh, Let me just copy this and paste here. Then the next thing I want to do is, okay, so this is approved, right? And if this is approved, let me see. So the next thing I want to do is to create or to authorize the charge. So I don't know. It seems the charge is already authorized, but I don't know. I'm doing this to be on the safe side, to authorize a charge if it's required. And then with the nonce I used here, I would use it to create encrypt my pin. Okay. Sorry guys. I'll use this to encrypt my pin. So my pin, so that's my pin, and that's my new number. I think it would, okay, it did not fail. So now I'm checking if I've been sent back any form of notification to tell me, okay, I'm still waiting for the notification to tell me that so let me check. So let me check how verify payments works, because I think that's like the final step. So redirect contains instruction. Okay, merchants to redirect their customers to complete CDS card payment mobile transaction. Okay, so the customer transaction remains pending until redirection is complete. Okay, so let's come back here. Redirect URL reference. Is there any other URL here? Nope. So I'm just reading. In some cases, you'll be required to perform some actions offline. We communicate this using the payment instructions. Oh, so is there payment instructions here? Let's still check. Payment method details, okay. Processor response, okay. Reference, okay. There's no payment instructions here. So let's still go. Let's still check. Okay, so created success, this is this. So the final step, which is the very important step, is to close out the payment. Query the transaction and verify the transaction reference amount status before giving value to the customer. You can either use webhook to listen to status update, or you can call the verify endpoints to confirm the status manually. You'll get a response similar to this. Okay, so the last stage, right? Because I'm expecting a webhook response or a webhook request from them, but I've not seen that. I think I saved this actually. I actually saved this, so uh, okay. So the last step is to verify, right? The last step is to verify, and this is how to actually verify it from the documentation. So use the verify endpoint. Then the verify endpoints, so you would want to do this. You'd say step 5 would be to verify the transaction. And you can use, if you want to do pooling, what is called pooling. So pooling is like asking maybe every 5 minutes, is this transaction completed? Is this transaction completed? You want to be asking Flutterwave, you can use this verify transaction endpoint. And the way to do it is you would make a get request. You will make a get request to this endpoint. So you make a request to this endpoint where the ID here is the transaction reference, right, Abby? So let me check here. What did they give us? Okay, so this ID actually, not the transaction reference, this ID. So you verify the transaction by putting that ID there, and then another thing you supply is the X trace ID, and you supply that in your header, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so that one is not required. It's not actually required, but if you want to put it, you can actually put it. So you say, okay, it's already here, Xtracer ID. You don't need this key. But you also need to be logged in to be able to do that. So, which means, so let me just make that request already. Okay, so I need to generate the access token again. Okay, so charge fetched, this is the ID of the charge, is 3,000 naira. The customer that did it, this is customer ID. Settled, true. Okay. Okay. So it was, the payment method was card, the redirect URL, status succeeded. So this was already, this was approved actually, right? This was approved, but we didn't still we didn't still receive the webhook as expected. We didn't receive the webhook as expected. So is there something I didn't do properly? So this payment has been made, right? And it has been approved, okay? But then our webhook didn't tell us whether the payment went well or it did not go well. It didn't give us that response, right? So I'm trying to trace why that is happening. So let's come back to our browser actually. Let's come back to our browser. So let me check if the URL probably changed or something. So 102.90.101, 102.90.101.29. Okay. Oh, okay. So I guess this is the last part I didn't get. So when you're paying with card, right? A card payment, when you say charges, you have to put /ID. But is it /ID or / the ID itself of the charge? Encryption pin. Okay. Hmm. So let's come back to our postman and let's try that. So they said if you want to verify, you should use that /pin. Or /the ID. So when I initiated the charge, they gave me an ID. They gave me a charge ID. I'm sure. So this is the charge ID. This one. So let me see if I'm trying to authorize. Is it verify transaction that I put? Okay, so let me try it that way. Um, Okay, so this was supposed to be a put endpoint. It was supposed to be a put endpoint. Okay, so charge already has final status. So which means the charge was actually completed, or this was actually completed. So I didn't need to take this step again. I'm still wondering why they didn't send the whole thing. Let me just do this. Let me paste this here and see what will happen. Okay, cannot get, right? Let me come back here to Postman and check what is going to happen. Cannot get, I've gotten that request. I've gotten that request fine and clear. So then, wow. Let me see if I create a payment method with exactly the same details, see if it will go. Okay, payments created, MasterCard, whatever. Copy this payment ID to initiate the charge. Yeah, I'll just remove some digits here. Then to authorize a charge. I think this is finalized actually. But for me to be sure, let me make that put request. Yeah, I still get the same response that it's finalized. But I'm not still getting anything on my Flutterwave. So let me come back to the browser actually, because this is very interesting. Let me come back to the browser. Let me come here. Let me go to webhooks and let's see if I'm supposed to maybe also put a webhook here. I think this is going to, okay, it didn't log me out. So the same way we have v3 live webhook. I think I should just, I need to log me out actually. So just please be patient with me. I'm going to which one sent 0 minutes? Okay, thank you. This one sent in 0 minutes. So copy that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So settings, webhooks, and then I'll just copy the same webhook I put on V4 to V3. Didn't I click on webhooks? I just clicked on webhooks. Yeah. uh, I have a live webhook though. Paste that, the same hash I used here, I'll just copy it and paste here. Because I'm thinking that it might actually be using one of these two. So yeah. So since I've saved this, I think I should try one more time on Postman, and then let's see if it is actually going to work. It's going to tell me I'm not okay. Okay. It's not yet 10 minutes. So I'll just copy this, rush up to go and create that payment. He's still showing me 3,000. Anyways, then the next thing is copy this, and should I? Okay, yeah, I don't need to authorize it. Well, let me see. I think I need to authorize it actually. It's finalized already. I'm not still getting the webhook. What's going on? I'm not still getting this webhook. I'm not still getting it. Flutterwave webhook. This Flutter webhook. 129. Everything is the same. Or is it that webhooks don't work for tests? Wow. Secret hash. But then, what if we want to verify this transaction? If we come here to check that transaction, oh, don't know if that expired already. You see, so it's still saying what approved actually. The processor response, it's not processing, it's approved. But for some funny reasons, I'm not getting the webhook here. Anyways, so looking at this, I don't know. So all I can do is just still keep testing, see if I could. Let me try to make a post request. Sorry, let me try to make a post request to this endpoints from. Just give me a minute. I know you guys are not seeing my screen currently. So post is actually working. Like post is working perfectly. It's saying cannot post. Although I'm getting the wow. So I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, webhook is not just working, right? Webhook is not working, but when I try to make the payment here or elsewhere. I don't know if this redirect URI would be, no, this redirect URI won't be the webhook actually, because this is for front end. So I don't know, you guys can try this out, but I've done everything in terms of setting up that is supposed to be done. And I don't know why it's acting that way. I've created this endpoint. I've made this update here for the v3. For the v4, I also made this here. Or give me a minute. So let me do something. Because I mistakenly generated, I think along the way, I mistakenly generated a new, what's it being called? I mistakenly generated a new client ID and client secret. So I don't know if maybe that could be the reason. So I think the client ID is still the same. But the client secret is, everything is still the same actually. Everything is still the same actually. Everything is the same. I didn't generate a new one. Okay, so at least you guys have seen how to make payments, right? The reason why it's not working, I can't really tell. I can't really say, because or okay, so anyways, let's move to something else. Or maybe I'll try this again on my own, and then if there is any issue I find about why it's not working, I'll just tell you guys, or we'll do it in another video. So someone talked about sockets.io, and we might not finish socket.io today, but we are going to finish it in subsequent video. But I'll just talk a little bit about it. So socket.io is used for bidirectional communication. Now, if you notice on your normal REST, when you're creating normal APIs, the backend just waits for the front end to ask, and then it gives the front end a response, right? Now, in that scenario, the back end can't just send a request to front end like that, right? And when the front end sends a request to the back end, the front end waits for a particular amount of time for the back end to respond. And if the back end doesn't respond, it takes it that it creates a timeout error. It's cut the connection between the back end and tells the front end, I've waited for this guy, he's not answering me, so I'm timing out. Okay. So, but with sockets.io, right? The front end can send a request to a back end, and it doesn't mind whether the back end is going to make a response or not. Same thing with the back end. The back end can just make so it's not really a response request kind of fashion in terms of socket.io. It's more of an event-based kind of should I say, relationship between the front end and the back end. So the front end can emit an event to the back end, right? The back end can use the event to do anything it wants. In fact, the front end can emit an event to the back end, and the back end can emit another event to another user on the front end at the same time. Do you get the back? So the other user that gets that event on the on his client side, remember that other, let's say client A, right, makes or sends an event to the back end. The back end now takes that event, processes it, and sends another event to user B. Remember that user B did not have to make a request, but user B gets the notification that something happened. Maybe a new message came in or something new happened. You get? User B can decide to respond to that, right? Or not. And everybody is still okay. So that's what socket.io actually stands for, right? And then you can do socket.io without even worrying about um uh Express, right? It's possible for you to do socket.io totally. In fact, you can even spin up a different server. So I don't want to go too far. Okay, you can spin up a different server to use sockets.io, and then that server will just be using only sockets.io for whatever it's doing. Okay, just while your normal Express server will be there doing its Express stuff there and the rest. And there's a reason some people even go with that architectural pattern. There's a reason some people go with it. Now, for people that are maybe a little bit advanced here, if you're configuring Nginx, right? Or for your sockets.io server, you might want to use IP hash um uh algorithm to configure your Nginx. Well, for your Express server, you might need to use, is it round robin algorithm or any other algorithm that would balance the load well there, right? So you might want to separate the server for doing those things. You might want to separate them. Okay. This and that's another topic for another day, but the concept, right? The concept with socket.io is just being able to have bi-directional communication, right? And I think I'm going to just maybe spin up a new server and then just use that new server with just socket.io. Let's try to just only focus on socket.io without Express, at least just socket.io. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to that documentation. So socket.io documentation. You want to go there. You can use socket.io as a standalone. That's totally up to you. So project initialization. So they said that if you want, you just install, or if you want to install it with Express, no problem. Like this. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So sorry, introduction. This is whatever they've said here. Where is it? Let's go to project initialization, right? In fact, I think I'm going to be using this approach for my subsequent projects. I won't put both together. I'll just separate them. Um, where is it? Where is it? So npm install socket.io. So let me just create. Let me create a new. Let me spin up a new project already. I would Let me create a new folder. I'll just call it socket tutorial. I'll open that with VS Code. And once it opens, in fact, let me crash the other servers that are running that I'm not using currently. I've crashed Tonmo. I've crashed the back end. Let me leave Postman running because Postman didn't offend me today. Okay, so I'm here. I need to reshare my screen. So we are presented with this blank screen that does not do anything spectacular. And then the next thing I want to do is npm init -y, because I don't want to answer any question. The -y there is saying yes to everything that's I want to be asked. So it's create a package.json. The next thing I want to do is create a new file. What will I call that file, sir? I would call it index.js, because I already said that index.js will be my entry point. The next thing I want to do is I want to install sockets.io. So npm install sockets.io. And here, I would want to create that server for sockets.io. So I'll just simply say const this should be equals to require socket. I want to require socket.io. So server. Then I'd want to say IO should be equals to new server. Then I'd say I think it's IO.listen. I want to listen to port 4000. I'd say sockets. I would want to say ports should be equals to 4000. Then I want to use port here so that I can then say sockets started on port. So with this, we've been able to spin up a socket IO server. The only thing I need to do is I'll then say node index.js. So here I said npm run dev. Okay, what is it saying? Post is not defined. Port. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I believe this port has started. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to say, Abi? So I'm concerned. What else am I supposed to do? So let's see. Let me go to Postman and try to connect. Right? Let me try to connect a new sockets.io. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Localhost 4000 connect. So it says a user connected. Beautiful. So the socket.io is actually up. I don't know why I didn't print this ports message actually. It's supposed to print it. And I think I could still use NodeMon with this. Okay, I think I can still use NodeMon with it. So I'd say NodeMon, no demon, NodeMon. So for some funny reason, this is not actually printing the socket stuff. Let me try to connect again. A user connected. So I think I can just remove this part since it's not buying it. It's not using it. So we can do that. Of course, we can say that the user with a socket.id connected. So let's see. If we try connecting again with Postman, you see that a user connected and then that's the user's socket.id. So of course you can say sockets.join that socket. In fact, you don't necessarily need to do sockets.join because as far as the person has this ID, you can always use this ID to refer to that person. So let's take it that this is a first user, right? Just give me a little bit of time. I'm trying to save what I'm doing here. So I'd say localhost I'll just duplicate that and say this is user 2. Okay, so I'll connect the first user, I'll connect the second user. I hope you already know how I'm connecting them. Yeah, the log didn't show. I don't know why. I think this io dot listen, right? There's a way I can still pass it and create the server the way I would have done with Postman, but without passing Postman down there to create a server. I don't know if that will work, but this is actually okay because I'm not using Postman, so this is okay. So we have let me just crash this and start again. I want the two users ID to show, user 1 and user 2. So user 1, user 2. So these two users are connected and you can make a particular user send a message to another user, right? So you can do something like sockets dot on, right? Sorry. Yeah. So socket dot on maybe greeting. Greeting could be the value. So now I want these two front end guys or the two people that are connected to send that greeting request. So let's come back to Postman and see how we can do it. First of all, right, the person that is to receive that greeting is to listen to the greeting event. Because remember that sockets.io is event-based. So I've connected the first user, I've connected the second user. Okay, let's say the second user is the one to receive the greeting event, right? So the second user is supposed to listen to the greeting event, supposed to listen to it, okay? So he's supposed to listen to the greeting event, while user one can now emit the greeting event. So the event name is greeting. And then the message here that user one wants to send could be maybe a JSON, maybe a text. I text, so I could say hello that way, and I send that greeting, right? Once I send it, okay, so oh, okay, sorry, I'm not sending it to user two, I'm just printing it out. So if we come back here, you see greetings as hello, because I'm just printing it out. Remember, greeting is the name of the event, while the value of the greetings, which is hello, which we just sent. But then, how do I send this value to the second user, right? Now remember that in our Postman, we are just sending the value of greeting. We have not specified who we are sending it to, right? So this value, right, could contain the ID of the person we are sending it to. But now it's string, right? So, and we are just logging out the string. So now let's come back to Postman. Let's come back to Postman. If greetings was an object in core, so if we change this from JSON to object, we say the object is the objects would have maybe I don't know, message, and the message would be hello, and then it has a user ID to send it to, right? So the user ID, now I'll just put a random thing there, and then I'll still send that message again. Let's come back to our VS Code. Come back here. You see that the greeting is actually an object now. It's an object, right? Now, what you want to do is inside here, when that greetings event comes, you want to send it to the appropriate person. You then say socket.to. Remember that this value coming here is an object. So you can say to dot user ID dot emit, and the emit is going to be, you're emitting the same greeting to the person. You're emitting the same greeting to the person. And then the message you're sending to the person is going to be the value dot message. So we've done that. Now let's test. Let's go back and test. So first of all, the second person has to listen to the greeting event. She is greeting, I'll be greetings. Okay, is greeting. The second person has to listen to that greeting event. So this first person connects, right? Then, so this is user ID. Okay, then the second person connects. Bam. Now, the first person that connects, right, is going to send a message to the second person, and I've copied the second person's user ID. That's the user ID of user two. User one will now come here and say, hello guy. Then put that there and then click send. So a greetings is being, okay, something happened. Sorry, I think I need to use io.to, not greetings.to. So let me try it again. So user one, user two, copy user two's ID, come to user one, paste it here, send it. It still crashed. What's the problem? Sorry, please just give me some minutes. Okay, done. It's done. Sorry. Let's come back to the documentation. Let's come back to the documentation. Sorry. So how do you emit events? Let's come to the emitting events part. So you emit events by using the emit. Then the backend is going to receive that event using on. Then how do you broadcast events? You now say this dot emit hello to this. Okay. So I don't want to, so now broadcasting is if you want to send to everybody, right? This is what I'm looking for. So which means this is the step that I didn't or so this I skipped a particular step. So I'm supposed to say sockets.join and then the sockets.id. So when I'm using to, it will go. So let me come back here. So connect this one, connect the second one, come to user one, copy his ID, paste it here, or copy user two's ID, come to user one, send, what's going on? Okay, Abdulatif, please can you make me the admin? So definitely we are going to continue this class on Monday, right? We are going to continue this class and we are going to see in more detail how sockets.io works and then how it's being used alongside sending requests with between users there. Thank you for coming out to today's class and see you on Monday.